Hello, my name is Ryan, and I'd like to talk to you about the nature of disconnection and how that affects everything in the world. All of us are connected. We are all energy. We are all physically connected. Science has shown that. The spiritual books of the old have been trying to teach us that, but sometimes we need just a little bit more proof. But science has shown that we are all physically connected with energy, and that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can just fold and structure itself differently. That energy is pure information, and that information dictates the structure of all things. And it also brings with it understanding and wisdom. When we are born as humans, we are allowed to forget that. We are allowed to forget the disconnection. We are allowed to forget that there's nothing but just what's right in front of us. That is so that we can create pressure and grow from that pressure. We are meant to be problem solvers and artisans of the universe. Create and be amazing shining examples of what is possible. The same mind that created the structure of all things is your mind, and you are capable of all things. When we are born and this disconnection happens, a bubble is created, a thought bubble. That first bubble is your ego, and it is what you believe to be yourself. And it keeps you distracted and focused on things that are not really of your concern. But that disconnection, like I said, creates pressure. And it is incredible the amount of things that can happen because of that disconnection. We've invented so many things. We have created science and art and music and amazing things, but also war and pain and suffering and incredible atrocities. This disconnection is not permanent, and it can be reforged through meditation, yoga, fasting, and saying yes to trying to understand truth of what really is, not what you think or want to think, what truly is. There is no good. There is no evil. There just is. If the cheetah gets the antelope, is she evil? If the antelope gets away, is the antelope evil for making the cubs starve? Neither. They just are. It just is. We add the disconnection. We add the connotation to it. This disconnection is a prison cell, limiting our creativity, limiting our focus, and doing so much damage. Let me give you one example of one small aspect of this thought bubble and other thought bubbles it can create and how it can control your actions in your day. I'm speaking with someone and I'm talking to them about a concept of information or a concept of, being or something. And as I'm speaking, several things are going on in my own mind. I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next. I'm observing their facial expression, their body language, and I'm trying to understand if they care about what I'm saying, if they're paying attention, if they're understanding what I'm saying, or if, they're just observing. Say I'm speaking, and on the other person's face, there's a look of confusion. A look of confusion and of carelessness. So in my mind, I take that and I go into a thought circle, a thought sphere, and I'm spiraling in here, trying to understand, am I not speaking properly? Am I not describing this adequately enough? And then if I successfully pass those tests of my own self, I ask, are they not paying attention? Do they not care? Are they understanding? Or maybe they can't understand. Maybe there's something within them that is so disconnected that they can't put themselves there. And if that is true, I judge my conversation path accordingly. But if that's untrue, there's a really big disconnection there. In his mind, while he's looking confused, he's actually understanding everything I'm saying. They're understanding everything I'm saying and have gone 5 steps ahead of where I am because they understand and are applying it. But because of that focus that they're choosing to, engage in, they are not paying attention to their facial expression or their body language. And they're sending signals that have no backing behind them. And I'm taking those signals and applying them and going with it. And that can be very dangerous in a lot of situations. If we're describing something that's very mundane, like I'm talking to you about a chair, and in my head I have this 50-foot rocking chair, and in your head you have a chair that is normal looking, I guess, for a wooden chair. And it's a big disconnection. But if we're talking about, it's like politics or all these things, all kinds of things can happen. Now, imagine that disconnection in just one conversation, but imagine that disconnection within yourself and other people, and them not being able to tell you how to run your life, how to really be, what really is. I mean, yeah, sure, they can say that you're human, and that you're on Earth, and that, that's the sun. And then you walk around every day and you're like, oh yeah, that's the sun. But have you ever been like, what is this thing up in the sky that is raging so intensely that it has created all of this? It's pretty incredible. And we just are so wrapped up in these thought bubbles that we don't have time to think about what is really going on around us and to step back and say, why am I choosing to act this way? Why am I looking at the world this way? Is it because I actually feel this way deep inside of me, or is it because outside experiences and outside impacts have forced me into these thought bubbles that are now governing all of my actions? And you ask yourself, well, how do I get out of these prisons of thought, this hell that keeps me trapped? Meditation. When you meditate, you take your mind off of thought and you bring it to awareness. There are 2 things happening within you. There is your thoughts that govern your actions and emotions for the most part, and then there is your awareness, the thing that is observing, the thing that is aware that you're touching things, aware that I'm touching this glass, aware that I'm touching anything. And that awareness is truly who you are. It is the unchanging observer, the light of knowledge within you, gaining knowledge, information, and just trying to understand. And we constantly fight that and our intuition within ourselves with thought and doubt and fear. And so many of our actions are a slave to these thought spheres, a slave to someone else's input, versus truly taking the time to step back and understand what is going on. So I offer you, meditate. Learn to control and master yourself. Stretch. See what you're really capable of. Don't limit yourself to what you think you are, or some label that you've already applied to yourself from the past because of other people's labels upon themselves and what they've labeled upon you. You are boundless and infinite and beautiful, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. To meditate, a simple form of meditation, breathe and pay attention to the feeling, that awareness of your lungs expanding and contrasting. Keep breathing and pay attention to how it feels. And every time your mind starts to wander to something else, bring it back and will yourself. Use your willpower and strengthen it to say, no, I will focus on my breathing. Keep focusing on it. And as time progresses, you will have put so much more oxygen in your body than you normally do. Your fingers will tingle, your hands will tingle, and you will become clear and efficient in all of your bodily functions. And thoughts will come to you, but you will not be a slave to them. You can observe them, judge them, and say, that will help me, or that will not help me, or someone else. Keep focusing on your breathing. Bring yourself into the now. Don't be a slave to some past event, or to some future dilemma, or drama, or worry. And I'm not saying not to focus on the future at all. Don't have goals for yourself. Don't plan. I'm not saying those things. Plan. Have goals. But don't be a slave to them. Don't be a slave to your goals. Be in the now. And know that you are connected. And everyone is you. Because they are. Don't judge them because they don't know that. They don't know what they do. They're in distracted spheres of thought, trying to understand themselves, trying to understand this world. And everyone is pushing them away, saying it's one thing or another. I love you all, truly. And I wish for you the best. And I hope I spoke clearly for you to understand, because this is very hard for me to express. I experienced this and I understand it, but for me to express it to you, to understand, is another matter. Be safe and have a wonderful day.